All right, it is 5:30 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order of the Morton County Commission on October 22nd, 2024. Our first item of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our roll call, Commissioner Zachmeyer.
Yes.
Commissioner Buckley.
Yes.
Commissioner Langang.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrell.
Yes.
And myself, Commissioner Boehm, along with Auditor Rowan up here at the front desk and State's Attorney Copy in the back and Sheriff Kirkmeyer. We also have Treasurer Carrie Hudsonville here. Forgot the elected one last time, not this time. Next will be the approval of the agenda. I do have one addition, and we'll make it 2A, and it'll be an NDSU extension report from Jaden Russell. Does anybody have any other additions or corrections to the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We have the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting on October 10th, 2024 for the Morton County Commission.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the October 10th, 2024 Morton County Commission regular meeting. Is there any further discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. I have bills this month. I did go through. We had a question on one that was answered. So with that, I would have moved that we approve the bills and payroll.
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the bills and payroll. With that, we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Morrell?
Yes.
Commissioner Langang?
Yes.
Commissioner Buckley?
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Motion carries. Thank you. That we will move right into our agenda this evening. Our first one up is going to be Matt Shannondor at the Man in Progress Organization.
All right, thank you, Chairman Boehm and Commissioners. Good evening. Yes, so just thank you for the time to come before you here, just to kind of give you an update on the Man in Progress Organization from 2024, and thank you for your continued support as we go into 2025. I submitted to you guys, to the Commission, just a kind of an overall overview of what we kind of been focused on in 2024. Part of that is the new strategic plan for 2024 to 2028, which was adopted last October, November by the Man in Progress Organization Board. And so kind of, I'm not going to go through it in complete detail, but it does give you kind of an idea of our focus for the next few years for the Man in Progress Organization. One of the things that we kind of really focused on this last year was launching our new Visit Mandan brand to promote Mandan and Morton County. And so we launched our new website, which was visitmandan.com. And with our new mission that we adopted with the strategic plan, we're empowering, the mission is to empower the Mandan, Morton County, and Bismarck metro area by orchestrating dynamic experiences, celebrate our community's unique experience, attract diverse audiences, foster synergistic collaboration among local business stakeholders, therefore enhancing the area's culture and economic viability. So one of the things we've been really focusing on in Visit Mandan is really trying to collaborate with not only what we do from events and stuff within the Mandan community, but also how we can connect that out to the rest of Morton County. Right now, I mean, we're in our infancy when you look at this, and this is kind of a long-term plan, but one of the things we're building is a foundation to really be successful in the future years as we come up on some kind of major milestone anniversaries. One of them being the 2026 US 250 anniversary coming up. We'll be focusing on the 4th of July parade and the Mandan Rodeo Days celebrations that are taking place there. And then when we get to 2029, we have the Rodeos 150, and then in 2031, we have the 150th of Mandan and Morton County. And so part of our mission right now and part of our focus with this new strategic plan is to really focus on how we can really develop tourism destination marketing for Mandan and Morton County. Right now, a lot of that's focused on our events and how we get that out to the public. We took a lot of energy this last year in taking all of our websites for all the different events that we had, from Buggies and Blues to Mandan Rodeo Days to the other events, and kind of bringing them all together under one kind of branding messaging, which has been very successful in terms of directing visitors to a website that can give them information about what there is to see in Mandan for events and what is out there in Morton County. One of the inventories we did take when we were doing this, and this will take some time to build out, is we did notice that some of the smaller towns in Morton County don't have direct websites. Some use a Facebook page, some use a website, some use other types of means of digital marketing. And so when you go through Visit Mandan, you'll see there's an Experience Morton County tab, and we're slowly building that out to be able to give some of these smaller towns a website page in there that we can update with pictures, whether it's events coming out. Our biggest struggle right now, and I think this has been a struggle for the last few years, is just getting that contact, getting that information. Who are those champions in the communities? And so that's our focus over the next 2025, 2026, is trying to get out and find out who those champions are in those smaller communities and get some of that content that we've got. But getting back to kind of the website and stuff like that, you'll see some of the statistics in the overview that I kind of gave out. Obviously, this is 1 year in, so we're seeing that. We'll have more comparisons to the website after 2025. We can kind of compare year to year. But you'll see that we had about 40,000 site sessions. We had about 26,000 unique visitors to the site. You'll see some of those peaks that took place right around Buggies and Blues, Mandan Rodeo Days. You saw those peaks, people going to the website. So they were going to visitmandan.com to get that information. That was our messaging on billboards. That was our messaging on social media for people that were looking for information on the events that were happening in the community. We also saw some increased attendance at our key events. Haunted Fort last year, with our partnership with Fort Abraham Lincoln State Park, we saw about 8,900 visitors coming out for that event. Holiday Lights on Main had a huge increase in 2023, from 22,000 in 2022 to almost 48,000 in 2023. Buggies and Blues, we saw an increase to about 18,000. And overall, Mandan Rodeo Days was about 75,000 plus. We also launched a couple of newer events and activities that help to incorporate outside of Mandan, and these were partnerships. So one of them is the Morton County Roundup that we hosted right before Buggies and Blues, which was a driving roundup from Mandan through 5 and 7 different stops in smaller communities through Morton County. We had a small attendance for that, but those that attended really thought it was a great event, a great activity. I shouldn't say event, but a great activity to get out into the smaller towns, get them through there. Now our obstacle with that is to get in front of some of the bar owners and businesses in these communities and kind of let them know this is going on. Get in front of them. This was I don't want to say a last minute thing, but we didn't really start planning this until about the first part of May. And so now that we know we've got it kind of on our docket, we can get out there in January, February, March, and really try to make those connections. The other really big successful event was Lion's Heart Gravel Classic that we partnered with 701 Cycle on. And this was a unique event. It was not something that's held in North Dakota. There's not a larger gravel race like this, but we had a 35, 65, and 100-mile race. We had 125 racers from 14 states, and this is set to repeat itself in 2025. This was a very, very unique event. It took some of the more beautiful vistas in Morton County on the gravel roads. The 100-mile went all the way down to Flasher and then came back through the gravel roads up to Mandan. And so this was a great opportunity for some of these racers that were not from the state of North Dakota to really see some of the beautiful landscapes of Morton County. And we, from our talks, we should see the attendance of this race increase quite dramatically in the next couple of years as it continues to happen. So as you kind of look at the last part of it with our support, as I talked about, Visit Mandan's kind of been our focus on really trying to brand Mandan and Morton County. And so when we look at the ongoing support that the County Commission has been giving to the Mandan Progress Organization, what we're really doing is, taking some of that, putting that to the support of the MPO, what we've been doing with events, attractions, marketing, things like that, for Mandan and what's happening here. We kind of see Mandan as that spoke. People can come here, get information, come to events, and then spoke out, hopefully go out to smaller towns, some of the smaller events, take the Old 10 Scenic Byway, things like that. And another part of it's going directly to our Visit Mandan marketing, so the new website, helping to keep that maintained. This year we made a jump and we're going to do a full page Mandan Morton County visitors ad in the North Dakota Tourism Guide. And so you'll see that come out in the 2025 guide, something that Mandan or Morton County hasn't done. And so this is just going to enhance that messaging of directing visitors to here. And our big goal is really in 2026, when you see the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library open up, we're going to have a large number of traffic coming across I-94, flying into Bismarck, heading west. And our hope is really to try to capture some of that visitor traffic coming across I-94, pull them into Mandan, pull them into New Salem, pull them into some of these small towns as they're heading west. And the numbers that they're estimating are in the hundreds of thousands of people coming to that particular the Presidential Library once it opens. And so that gives us some opportunity to really take the Visit Mandan brand and really promote Mandan and Morton County with it. But other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, take some whatever comments you guys have. And
So, Matt, is there a reason you didn't back up just to December 15th and catch the traffic from the holiday lights? You just started on January 1 of 24. You should have backed up just a little bit.
I know.
Caught that one, because there's a third peak that's got to be there.
Well, and Visit Mandan wasn't fully active.
Okay.
Last December, we had the holiday lights page, but we didn't have a lot of that. We really didn't start the big build of it until January.
Okay, that's why.
Yep.
As I say, there had to be a peak in there,
Yeah.
people looking for stuff, and when. Any questions, comments for Matt?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, again, as the portfolio holder for the county with Mandan Progress Organization, I can definitely attest to what Matt had said as far as the ongoing internal communications within the board with the outreach going into our rural communities, as well as looking at the spawning off of or developing synergies with some of these activities as well. But part of that is also tying in with the Visit Mandan brand. And Matt, I'm going to target you on the question here, but the Visit Mandan brand is not 100% focused on Mandan, even though that's in the name. But then we look at, again, it's understanding marketing, I'll put it that way. And a lot of people do and a lot of people don't. But Matt, you want to add on where that concept come into play and how, again, we'll pick on McKinsey County.
Yeah, one of the concepts that we're looking at is this unified brand. When you have two different brands, two different messagings, it's hard for people to kind of really figure out where to go for a website or in just general information. And, when we look at McKenzie County and Watford City, they do a really good job of synergizing their websites and their marketing together. When you're on the county website from the city website, when you go back and forth between them, you really don't know that you've left either of them. And even their tourism development website as well. And so that type of cross-connection marketing is really, really strong in terms of capturing that visitor traffic and when people are looking for information. We get it a lot. I've gotten a lot from the last 3 years since I started, is people ask, I don't know where to go to find information on what's happening in Mandan or Morton County. And it was very obvious with the multiple websites we had and the multiple brands we had for Buggies and Blues, Mandan Rodeo Days, all these different things, Mandan Progress Organization, which in itself doesn't have that connected piece. Now, when you travel around the country, you'll go to major cities, you'll go to different things, you're going to find that tourism destination website is typically a visit ... And so people have been trained into looking that up on a website, or when they're traveling, is when they're coming to a community, they're going, well, I should check out their tourism website. And we don't have anything like that. And so giving them something where we can get it out there, that's Visit Mandan as the kind of the umbrella brand, Mandan being the hub for Morton County. But then it kind of spokes down, and it kind of gives the opportunity for them to get to a website, and then from there we can give them that information about experiencing Mandan, experiencing what's in Morton County, and giving all of those smaller communities a web page, some options on there to put up events, things like that. The website's in its infancy. I mean, we built it in-house. This is something that I see in 2 or 3 years that we're going to have to go out to an actual ad agency or a marketing agency to have them build a very robust, dynamic website that users from smaller towns can actually log in, submit an event, put it on there. There's opportunities that those then can, through API integrations, can then link to both Bismarck Mandan CVB or tourism's website, so that whatever gets entered in our website will automatically go up the chain, and so they'll get notifications of events and stuff like that. So we're just trying to build that foundation right now, which takes time. It obviously takes money, and so, but we got to start somewhere, and so we're starting that here, and hopefully in the next, by 2031, when we really celebrate the 150th anniversaries, Visit Mandan will be a very strong destination brand that will be drawing people to Mandan and Morton County.
Mr. Chairman, question? Mostly it has to do with the mission statement, and I visited with Mr. Shenandoah last year before or after the Christmas lights opening. But the part about promoting the Bismarck metro area, and we don't receive any type of funding from the city of Bismarck or Burley County, do we?
We don't, but one of the reasons we included that in there was that we get a lot of the visitors coming from Bismarck. We want them to come over here, to come to the events, come to, explore Morton County, explore Mandan. I mean, we have to acknowledge the fact that, when we do the 4th of July parade and there's 40,000 people here, they're not all just from Mandan. They're coming from Bismarck, and enhancing that, and kind of one of the hard obstacles we have is there's always this kind of friendly competition between Bismarck and Mandan. The lights saw it when the lights opened up in 2022. People in Bismarck, residents in Bismarck were frustrated that Bismarck didn't have its own holiday lights. And our messaging needs to, be strong in the fact that, hey, we're creating these unique experiences, not just for Mandan and residents in Morton County, but we're also creating them for the greater region, and that includes the Bismarck metro area and outside of that. I mean, we saw traffic last year at the holiday lights from Minot, Dickinson, Fargo, people coming down, and that was just one-on-one conversations with people. So these things are a draw. These types of experiences. Country Fest is another one. It's a big draw. We don't get any funding or support from Country Fest, but we put it out there. There's a link on the website. We have to acknowledge the fact that these types of events like this, even though there's funding not directly coming to us, it's bringing in people into these communities. It's bringing people into Mandan, into New Salem, and it's recognizing that these communities are here. And so we have to find a way to get them off the interstate and into these communities. And by having a strong brand, that will do that. But we also have to acknowledge the fact that we need residents from Bismarck to come over here and come to these events and shop the businesses, eat at the restaurants, things like that.
And that's fine, but there's been numerous newspaper reports in regards that this is what was promised by having the new hockey arena, that all this business would stay in town. Yet, but there's how many newspaper reports about, yeah, people come for the event, but as soon as the event's over, they go over to Bismarck. They spend their money in Bismarck. We're lucky if they top off their gas tank before they leave Mandan to go over there. So they came, they paid their entry fee to go to the event there, then they left.
Yep.
So this, whether it's the Mandan Progress Organization, Morton County contributes to it. Burley and Bismarck do not. Does even the Bismarck Mandan Convention and Visitors Bureau give you any money?
They do, actually. They give us 10% of what they receive in the lodging tax from the city of Mandan. So that comes back to us, and then they also support us with memberships and different sponsorships. I think 2024 fiscal year is about $10,000 from the Bismarck Mandan CVB, and then the Bismarck Mandan Chamber does contribute $5,000 to the Mandan Progress Organization as well. But to your question about the sporting events, that was actually in our October here kind of recap on our strategic plan as our next step in 2025 is to reach out to the hockey clubs, the baseball clubs, these sporting events, and figure out how we can get literature in front of them when they're registering that shows, hey, these are the restaurants in town, these are the places to eat, these are the places to fill gas, whatever, when you're in town for these sporting events. We definitely acknowledge the fact that these sporting events have a big draw. It's getting in front of those parents and getting in front of those individuals and creating the content. Right now we have zero content from both City of Mandan, Morton County that's available to go out or updated enough. So we're utilizing some of our assets. We utilize the Mandan magazine as a way of kind of getting that out there, letting them know what's going on. But yes, I do agree. There are areas that we are not there yet, and we're hoping to get in those spaces in the next couple of years.
Okay. So if it's about embracing the greater metro area, one of the areas that I see then is massively lacking is 4th of July parade carrying the giant American flag. Why is Bismarck High School the only high school that can ever carry that flag when Mandan bought it? It's the Mandan 4th of July parade. And if it's about embracing the greater metro area, why isn't every other high school in Bismarck invited to carry the flag? Why isn't Mandan or New Salem High School invited to help carry the flag? Why is it always Bismarck High, not any of the other high schools? So somebody is calling Bismarck High and setting it up. And last year it was Bismarck High's football team that carried it. But about 10 floats down was Mandan football. Plenty of Mandan football players, and not a single one carried the flag. Is anybody going to these Mandan organizations, or even reaching out to New Salem, Flasher, Glenall, and Hebron, and saying, send somebody, put your jersey on, come carry the American flag?
Mr. Chair, can I jump in on that, if I may? I'll be blunt. It's comments like that drives a continued wedge between Bismarck and Mandan, Burley and Morton County.
Then they ask the rest of the high schools.
Well, I understand
I
that.
got nieces and nephews that go to Legacy.
What I'm driving at is, again, what Matt is working on and what the Mandan Progress Organization is working on is trying to enhance those synergies, trying to identify where the holes are at and fill those holes.
That's been a hole for a long time.
It's again, we also got to look back at what you had just said moments ago too. You know, when an event comes into play we'll just pick on Mandan. When an event comes into play in Mandan, why do people go over to Bismarck? We can't control that. At each and every individual person cannot control that. In the same token, Glen Ullin and Hebron are saying the same thing. We do an event in Hebron, why are they coming over to Mandan? It's always that element of they're going to go where they want to go or wherever their interest lies. What we're trying to do as the MPO is create more awareness and provide tools to our partners across all of Morton County that they too can take more awareness of their own capabilities with business enhancements, whatever it might be, to showcase our wares to get people to come in their doors.
So if it's about giving out tools to everybody about Morton County, why isn't a Hebron FFA person helping to carry the American flag at the Mandan 4th of July parade?
That would be a question to throw at the parade committee.
Then, and that is also through Mandan Progress Organization, also through your portfolio. Has anybody sent them a letter saying that you can come and carry the big American flag in the Mandan 4th of July parade and line up with a student from Bismarck St. Mary's?
Yes, Matt and I have had that conversation as well.
You had the conversation, but have the letters gone out?
The communication is always out there.
And it's still, this is.
But again, it also comes out to the simple fact of, and we're again, looking at trying to eliminate that wedge between our communities, it is just equal distant to drive from Mandan to Bismarck as it is from Bismarck to come to Mandan. So as long as we continue to put that outreach there, that opportunity is open to anyone that comes forward. Could it be that Bismarck is the first one that comes in? It could very well be.
So how hard would it have been to walk 10 floats down, grab a couple Mandan football players and say, come help carry the flag?
You're welcome to be part of the parade committee and be a part of that.
It's your portfolio.
It's a community event.
It is your portfolio, and you're elected to represent Morton and Mandan. This is a whole. Then you hear the complaints about some of the Mandan people booing because there's no Mandan kids carrying the flag. This is your portfolio too.
And there's also a Mandan band where there is not a Bismarck band. I mean, we could
Were
sit
they
here and
given
banter
letters
this
to
all over. The
participate?
bottom line is we're looking at an opportunity to increase
Either way,
relationships.
they are receiving Mandan and Morton County tax
Okay.
dollars, so it needs to be taken care of.
We're not
We are
going,
representing Mandan and Morton
Mr.
County.
Chairman, I call for a point of order.
we're not going to solve this tonight. This is a discussion for the parade committee to work with.
It needs to get fixed.
And that might be, but we need to work there, not here. Matt came in to give us an update and a report on what they're doing,
And my questions were on point.
but we don't need to get overly excited here about this right now. Let's work on it and we'll get there. That's what they're trying to do, is work forward. Is there any other questions for Mr. Shenandoah? Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
We will continue to work on this. All right. Next on the agenda, and I am sorry, but I'm not going to try your last name, not for sure, but it's Kimberly with the Transportation Planning and Bismarck Mandan Metropolitan Planning Organization. Is it RIPEL or RIAPEL?
It's Ripple.
Ripple, just
Yes.
Ripple, okay.
Thank you, Chair Boehm, Commissioners. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for having me here this evening to be able to present some information about the possible return of passenger rail to our region. Again, my name is Kimberly Ripple. I am a transportation planner with the other MPO. I'm with the Bismarck Mandan Metropolitan Planning Organization. It is our purpose to assist in and facilitate a coordinated and comprehensive planning process amongst our jurisdictions, and of course Morton County is one of our jurisdictions there. So included in your packet there were a number of slides, and basically that is just some supporting information to kind of give you a little background on the request that I'm going to make tonight. There were slides on the Federal Railroad Administration Long Distance Service Study, the Corridor ID Program, the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority Government Partner Program, and that leads me to my first request, which deals with the Government Partner Program tonight. The FRA study has been a 2-year-long study that has identified the restoration of the North Coast Hiawatha passenger rail service as one of 14 national preferred routes for restoration or expansion. Now, for anybody who is not familiar with the North Coast Hiawatha passenger rail route, that was an Amtrak route that was discontinued in '79. It used to run from Fargo parallel to roughly, I-94 on the south side of that, through Morton County, obviously through the city of Mandan, and all the way over to the Montana border, continuing through the southern tier of Montana. It did use the existing BNSF rail line that still is there today. In addition, there were also slides in your packet regarding the Corridor ID program. Now, the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority is a sponsor of a project that has been accepted by and awarded funding through the Corridor ID program. And their project is again to restore passenger rail service to our region through the restoration of the North Coast Hiawatha passenger rail line. Because of these two items and the coalescing of a couple of other things, it looks like it may be very likely that we will see the return of passenger rail service within our region. And because of this, as part of the MPO's function to assist in planning for regional transportation, we feel that it's fairly important that we stay ahead of this, or at least don't let ourselves get behind the 8 ball in planning for passenger rail to return here. Now, we understand that passenger rail will bring with it opportunities, but also challenges. And the BSPRA created the Government Partner Program to assist communities with maximizing the benefits and the opportunities that will be presented, but also with mitigating the challenges. And this is going to occur through the planning process that the MPO would help facilitate with our jurisdictions. Now, the Government Partner Program is laid out by BSPRA to provide resources leading on building of train stations, developing relevant services near stations and destinations, connecting transportation services, maximizing federal grant opportunities, and providing community planning and project development tools. They've also stated that they will create a passenger rail community to assist us with collaborating with one another. Now, Morton County's cost to become members for 1 year in this program is $30 per year. There is no long-term or additional financial commitments tied to this. And in fact, there's no auto renewal involved. Next year, about this time, we'll take a step back, we'll assess the program, we'll decide if it has provided us benefits, and if so, are those benefits sufficient enough for us to pursue a renewal in the program. And at that time, the Morton County Commission will be asked again to either approve renewal or to opt out at that time. Burleigh County, City of Mandan, and City of Lincoln have already approved their membership in this program through the MPO. Now, there was a lot of information in the slides in the packet. I'd be happy to entertain questions or comments, but if there are none, the Bismarck-Mandan MPO would respectfully request that the Morton County Commission approve becoming a member of the Government Partner Program through the Bismarck-Mandan MPO.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for Kim?
Mr. Chair, I do. I'm trying to put words to it yet, but I've been hitting their website periodically, so I've been keeping abreast with what their actions, activities are. But my question is, where would you see in any sort of a timeline before pardon the pun, but solid traction comes into play to make this come to fruition?
Thank you for your question, Commissioner, Chair Van, Commissioners. Because the BSPRA's project has been accepted through the Corridor ID program, it is guaranteed funding through implementation. Now, the Corridor ID program is it's very ambitious. Right now, BSPRA is in step 1. They have put forward an anticipated completion date of step 1 to be approximately May of 2025. They're the first of 9 programs to even put forward that completion date. So that will get them through step 1, which is developing that scope of work for a service development plan. Step 2 then takes them into the actual development of the service development plan. And that's a huge undertaking. There's like 9 different tasks, all with their own agendas under that step. And that is going to be a years-long process. However, the funding for that is, again, guaranteed through the Corridor ID program. And then once they complete that second step, it advances them to step 3, where they start doing the design and environmental review and NEPA, things like that. That takes them right into implementation. BSPRA has said that their anticipated operational date could be as early as 2032. They don't want this stretching out. They feel that letting it lag is not going to do anybody any favors. It's not going to benefit anybody. And they want to make sure that they're rolling with the momentum. But it is that second step where they are developing the service development plan. There's so many logistics, and most of the questions that are coming up as far as service routes and timelines and stations, those will all be addressed in that step too.
Has been any response with BNSF? And I mean, we drive by our rail yard down here and it's full a lot of times. Grain cars that are going that way empty, and coal cars and going that way full, and you're going to be, I mean, we have the depot here. Bismarck doesn't have anything, so we're looking at it stopping here if it's going to stop. Has talks with BNSF, has there been those talks? Have they said anything?
Thank you, Chair Boehm. Yes, commissioners as well. The BNSF is an ex officio member of the BSPRA. They're also a working partner with BSPRA. I think somebody may have mentioned Malta, the community of Malta, Montana earlier. And BSPRA and BNSF, along with a few other working partners, received $18.6 million in funding to expand the rail service there. BNSF created some sidings. They are a member at the BSPRA table. They do have a voice there. They know that the additional funding coming through these programs, which they would not normally be able to have access to, is only going to be beneficial to BNSF and to the maintenance and expansion, the keeping their rail lines in a state of good repair. As far as we've talked about, questions have come up with as far as occupancy of the rail, and those again are the things that would be answered through that step 2 service development plan portion of this study.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? So you're looking for us, a motion for the $30 membership
it'd be more $6,000 membership coming out of the MPO. Our portion of it would be $30, best case scenario.
Coming out of the metropolitan planning.
We'd have to pay $30 by our membership in the, that would be it as best case scenario. Correct, Kim?
Yes, Chair Boehm, Commissioners, the total cost of the membership for the Government Partner Program is $6,000. The MPO has received word from its federal and local oversight or state oversight that it is an eligible expense for reimbursement through the MPO. And what that means is that we will pay $4,800 of that membership. The remaining $1,200 is divided amongst the participating jurisdictions, and of which we have 5, and we have a standard population-based breakdown, and so Morton County ends up paying 0.5% of that, which would be $30. We have already received the commitment of 3 of our 5 jurisdictions. It's being heard by you here at the Morton County Commission tonight, and also at the Bismarck City Commission meeting this evening as well, who we have heard positive remarks from. So it is very likely that your contributing amount will be $30.
And, Ms. Chairman, I'm not for this. I'm not seeing this being the big economic generator that the Big Sky Rail Authority thinks it can be. I've heard their presentation numerous times, and including that Metropolitan Planning Organization. And they use a lot of terms like possible and probable. Nothing ever set in stone. No comparisons to the other cities in North Dakota that receive Amtrak service. And at one meeting they said, well, Governor Burgum wants this, but I have never seen a letter from Governor Burgum or any type of statement that he wants it. Same meeting they said that Aaron Burst and the Association of Counties would support that. We just went through the Association of Counties conference. Did anybody all of a sudden say, let's have a vote to support this? Wasn't even on the agenda. While they were saying that at that meeting, though, I texted Aaron Burst and asked him about it, and he said, well, they came and asked for support, but we sure never gave them any commitment. But what did they say? We expect to get a letter of commitment at any moment now from the Association of Counties supporting this, because we talked to Aaron Burst. They have their own agenda, and I don't trust them. I think they're saying whatever they want to say to try to fit their own agenda. So I was totally against this until the last Metropolitan Planning Organization and visiting with Mayor Freilich. Now, Mayor Freilich feels that by Bandant's contribution and Morton County's contribution, and then the MPO paying what they're going to pay, it is worth the chance or the risk to do this at this point. And then he spoke about how this might end up freeing up some type of grant funding, either through the state or the federal government, to better modernize the railroad depot, possibly the Beanery building, definitely beautify that little portion when it comes to the Lewis and Clark Hotel. And he said for the amount of money between Morton County and I think he threw out $650 between Mandant's contribution and Morton County's contribution, at least for this year. He thinks it's worth the risk to do it. So I told him, okay, I'll support this. But then on the other hand, I called Grand Forks, visited with Grand Forks Chamber of Commerce. They get no money off of Amtrak. They said their depot was too far outside the city limits. It doesn't tie into any of their business district. And that the Amtrak train comes through Grand Forks at such an odd hour, nobody gets off the train and visits any of their businesses. And even if they did get off the train, they'd have to rent a car or call an Uber to get into Grand Forks to do anything. After that, I called Rugby, because the train stops in Rugby. Visited with their job development director. And he said, nobody gets off the train. There's been no positive development, no positive job growth. And that the train comes through at such an odd hour that there is just absolutely no business benefit to Amtrak stopping in Rugby. But he did say passengers can get on and off in Rugby. But as whoever's on the train has to handle the baggage. It has created no new jobs. Called Minot. Talked to the Minot Chamber of Commerce. And then they said, no real significant business, but their depot is next to their library district. And that the train stays in Minot approximately a half hour. And that people will actually get off the train and go to the library to read something, stretch their legs, pick up a pamphlet, do whatever, then get back on the train and leave. He says as far as economic development, any type of job growth, virtually none. He said, but it's about having the potential of another option of transportation that might make it worth its while. I also asked Grand Forks and Minot, are they seeing any type of train traffic because they've had the Air Force bases? And they said no, they're not seeing it. And that even if they did, it's less than 5% is what Minot told me. So, Association of Counties Conference, these last couple of days I visited with 2 of the county commissioners from Williams County and asked them. And they said that the oil field seems to be using the train quite regularly. And then they talked about that in the area where their depot was, there was a rundown park, some rundown buildings, and adult entertainment. With the train there and the increased ridership of and plus oil field money, they were able to get some grants, able to kick in money, and they were able to clean up the area around the depot, and they feel that Amtrak is a benefit to Williston and Williams County. Talked to a Cass County commissioner, and he warned that there is no guarantee on the depots. If the depots have to be increased in size or modernized, there is a good possibility that will fall to the local jurisdictions to fund and take on to themselves. So I can see where Mayor Freilich is coming from and hoping to get grants to beautify that area around the Lewis and Clark Hotel and further modernize the train depot. But there's still the possibility that that can come to the local jurisdiction, and Mayor Freilich perhaps jokingly asked, is Morton County going to be willing to contribute to modernize the train depot to take passenger traffic again? So some of the pluses from Metropolitan Planning Organization. Mayor Schmidt said that they would be difficult for the Amtrak train to stop in Bismarck. Bismarck no longer owns their train depot, and they do not have a passenger platform maintained to allow passengers on and off the train. So stopping in Bismarck is pretty much prohibited. Not 100%, but pretty much. At the first time this was visited about in Lincoln, and talking to Mayor Wise, who was on Metropolitan Planning Organization, Lincoln would welcome it, but the train is so far outside of Lincoln jurisdiction, and then a side track would have to be built. Doubtful they'd get a lot of business because it would be in an industrial area. But they did feel that it would be beneficial to Lincoln if the train did stop there, and that's where the depot went. Talking with Mayor Freilich, Mandan owns their depot and has maintained the passenger platform. So that would be a positive on the Mandan side. But then on the other side, is there enough room? Is there enough parking? And would they want to put the depot west of Mandan in some location? But I think the argument could be made to have it in downtown Mandan. But Mayor Freilich specifically asked for my support on this through the Metropolitan Planning Organization. I told him that I would. And it's my vote to make at the Metropolitan Planning Organization. It is my portfolio, and even though I'm against it, I will carry the vote of this board to support it if that's what this board would like to do. But that is the best information I would have. Only other thing, I did visit with Congressman Armstrong over at Association of Counties too, and he said Amtrak is a federal agency and you still can run your risk. You never know if they all of a sudden want to decide to pull it. And all this possible benefits North Dakota all depends on the train passing through North Dakota at peak business hours. If it goes through at odd business hours to benefit Big Sky Rail because they need North Dakota to make their plans work so that they can have the optimum visitor and tourist visiting Billings, Bozeman, Yellowstone, they're going to need it during regular business hours, and we're going to end up having trains coming through here at 3 o'clock in the morning. And how many people are going to get off the train and try to find a cafe? So there's risks involved. And I will support going through Metropolitan Planning Organization, but there's nothing stopping from Big Sky Rail Authority coming to this board and asking for another $6,000 membership directly from us. And I would greatly oppose that. They got a $500,000 grant from the federal government to study a train that the federal government took away. Now they want $6,000 yearly memberships? I would oppose it here. And we're not budgeted for 2025 to do it anyway. But I would oppose it.
Any other comments? Thoughts?
I'll just throw a thought in there, again, as Commissioner Zachmeyer is talking about people getting off the train, I'm looking at people getting on the train for whatever reason. Because again, this is just another resource for transportation for our region, whether it's inflow or outflow regardless. A couple of quick comparisons, and talking, Andy and I talked about this before, other commissioners, we talked about this as well, but just straight line comparisons taken about 2 hours ago. Amtrak from Minot to Seattle, $286, round trip. United Airline, $299. Delta, $648 for the same destination round trip. To drive it, $295. Minot to Minneapolis, and again, we're kind of landlocked as far as airline hubs. We're either flying to Minneapolis for a connector, we're either flying to DFW for a connector, we're either flying to Salt Lake City for a connector. Minot to Minneapolis by train, $108. Delta, $409. United, $436. Driving it, $125. And to clarify, it's based on 24 miles per gallon and $3 fuel. That's my parameters for the driving. Minot to Chicago, the train, $186. United Airlines, $248. Delta, $258. To drive, $225. Just some examples. Myself personally, I've driven the Amtrak a lot. I find it extremely comfortable. Yes, it takes a little bit longer. I've driven Greyhound. Not so comfortable. Takes a little bit longer. And yeah, I got just a few miles in an airplane. But if there's an opportunity to take a train, I will take it. Because I think it's just great transportation. So again, to support it, yes. But looking at it in both perspectives, not only inflow but outflow. And it's another asset for transportation for the people of North Dakota, much less our region.
Which is what Minot said. You're not going to make a lot of money on it. It's not going to create businesses or jobs. It just gives another opportunity for other people on how they want to travel. But it is also federally subsidized, heavily, and losing money. Amtrak has never made money ever.
So is our highway system.
And so then one comparison was, so you can say the same thing about essential air travel. And that's federally subsidized or state subsidized or even locally subsidized. And I get it. I was stationed at Bismarck Airport at one time. I know that Frontier had some type of contract that if they didn't make a certain profit margin that, but I don't know if it was the city of Bismarck or state or federal, or a combination of all three, had to make sure they made their profit margin. So I get it. But it isn't gonna be this great raw thing that Big Sky Rail Authority's jumping up and down claiming it's gonna be. I have no faith and confidence in that organization whatsoever.
Mr. Chair, I move that we authorize a $30 membership fee to support the Metropolitan Planning Organization's membership to the Big Sky Rail Authority.
Is that not to exceed $30?
A $30 membership fee,
Because it could still be more,
a $30 membership fee.
okay?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
It has been moved and seconded to support a $30 membership fee to the Big Sky Rail Authority. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any discussion? Since it's a money, we will do a roll call vote. Commissioner Morrell?
Yes.
Commissioner Buckley?
Yes.
Commissioner Langang?
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer?
Yes,
And myself, Commissioner Boehm, yes. Motion carries. Do we still need to talk about a letter of support?
that's part of it.
That's part of it. Okay.
Thank you, Chair Boehm. Yes, that is the, excuse me, the second part of my request tonight. The final 3 slides that I did include in your packet were 3 letters of support. One was from the City of Jamestown, one from Stutsman County, one from the North Dakota Department of Transportation. They were included simply as examples of letters of support. What we would be asking is that the Morton County Commission approve a letter of support from Morton County in support of BSPRA's Corridor ID project, which we've already established is the restoration of the North Coast Hiawatha passenger rail line. This letter would be crafted at the discretion of the Morton County Commission and within your timeline, whatever you desire. So that would be our request tonight, respectfully.
Mr. Chair, I move that we authorize the Chair of the Morton County Commission to sign a letter of support for the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. And I'd help you craft it.
We can go pretty simple in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to draft a letter of support for the Big Sky Rail Authority from the Morton County Commission. Is there any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm
Yes, sir.
against this because Big Sky Rail Authority is just gonna use it as propaganda to further their own interest. And you look at the Jamestown one, it's not by an action of the Jamestown City Council, it's only by the mayor.
There's one from Stutsman County too.
And then I've seen the newspaper stories that Valley City and Barnes County are supposedly for it. I believe Dickinson Convention and Visitors Bureau paid the $6,000 to join. But how efficient is that gonna be? You really think Amtrak's gonna stop every 75 to 100 miles at every single location all the way through the state of North Dakota? We might get more lucky because we've got the big rail yard. But is that gonna be overly efficient? Especially if you're coming from Chicago and you wanna go to Yellowstone, like Big Sky Rail Authority uses as an example. You only got a 1-week vacation, but you're looking at a 2-day train trip possibly on one way out and one way back. Now all of a sudden you only got 3 days? I don't buy it. I'm against this letter. But you have the motion and go for it.
That'll be the decision you have to make as a writer.
That
Yep.
is correct.
Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? I will call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No,
Motion carries. Thank you, Kim. Mr. Russell, NDSU Extension Report.
All right, good evening, Commission. I won't take too much of your time. I just wanted to give a brief update on the 2024 Morton County Achievement Days and just kind of some of our numbers. put that up there so everybody can see. So this year we had 167 exhibitors total. That includes our static and livestock, rabbit and poultry and horse show. Those numbers are down a little bit from last year by less than 10. I think last year's numbers were 174, so it's down just a little bit. We did have 175 registered on fair entry for exhibits, but they ended up not being able to make it, whether it was family emergencies, sickness, whatever it might have been. It went really, really well. The issues that we did have were from a lack of experience, which is, I think, is a good thing because it's only up from there. So myself and Cassie and the rest of the NDSU Extension staff, we worked really hard, and we had a lot of help from the families. The 4-H Council has been a lot of help. It was a stressful weekend, but I thought it went really, really well. We have a feedback survey that's still out and still open for people to go in there and fill out if they'd like. It's on the top of our Facebook page, and then if anybody else would like to fill it out and they don't have access to Facebook or whatever that might be, just call our office and we can send it out in a link. But that's still open. We've gotten just about 30 responses back from about the week after the Achievement Days. We put that out. A lot of good feedback, a lot of good things. Saying, this didn't go that well, and here's a way to change it. There wasn't, every single comment had a way to fix something, which is really good for us to see because you don't know what you don't know, and we're taking all the feedback we can. So, other than that, a couple things that Cassie and I have planned for 4-H. We're looking at starting some new special project clubs. I'm looking at taking on a range judging team. And we're looking at some meat and livestock judging. A lot of these things we're going to have to wait till next year because we're already getting to that point this year where it's too late to really start. And we're looking for volunteers to help lead those because we can only do so much as extension staff with all of our other duties in our position. And so having those volunteers to kind of spearhead and lead those, whether it's the workouts or the practices, or just getting those kids together and start that. So those are kind of our things moving forward. So I'll take any questions on 4-H, the Achievement Days, our future plans with that, if there are any from the commission.
You always got me for a dairy judge.
That's right. That's right.
I was just noticing, if you combine the livestock, the rabbit and poultry, and the horse, live animals, you had 347 entries. And we were there. That was packed in there this year. It was insane.
It was.
How we even got them all in. But that part was very nice.
And the fair board worked with us really, really well because when the open show came in, it got even crazier with the amount of livestock that was there. There weren't many issues from when everybody else from whether it was across Morton County or across the state that was coming in. There weren't many issues with the kids and those open show entries, so it worked really well moving through that transition from the Achievement Days into the open show. So,
any questions for Jaden?
Mr. Chair, I do.
Yes,
again, just being a player on this, I like any of us that judge that, it's always a fun day. It's always a wonderful, fun day, but I'll throw a question at you that I throw at some of the youth during that. Is you have a chance to build on this for next year. What do you want to do different?
Well, our biggest goal is trying to get more kids involved, trying to get the word out there and trying to get more kids registered for 4-H. I think there's a lot of things that we can do, Cassie and I can do, going into the schools and getting more kids involved and just understanding that 4-H isn't just farming and ranching. It's not just agriculture. I know I think I talked to just about every commissioner here at the fair and seeing the different projects kids were doing that had nothing to do with agriculture. And I think that's a good thing to push is the agriculture side, but there's so much more that they can do. And that's our biggest goal is that. And then really just fixing those little things. I know we had issues with our premium sale and starting late, just a lot of those little things that went wrong this year from a lack of experience. Next year, we know we're going to make that better, and I think next year is going to go even more smooth. So that's kind of our biggest thing right now.
Any other questions for Jaden? If not, I have one at 4-H aside. Let's see, started in June, so you're about not quite 6 months in.
Almost. It's gone by fast.
I know we'll let Cassie at some point talk for her own programs, but for your programs and some of the things you're getting, how's that been going?
Good. I'm 4-H took up a big chunk on the front end. A lot of stuff I'm doing right now is just going out and testing water for ranchers, seeing kind of what that looks like. And then I'm also working on my pesticide trainings as well, getting certified so I can start doing that. And Cassie and I are going to team up with the community garden probably this spring and do some, I can talk about weed control and different ways to go about that, or what are some different plants to plant in your garden to keep the aphids away or to attract more pollinators to it, or things like that. And then she can go into different recipes and canning and stuff like that. My big thing now is trying to just get more exposure and trying to meet more of the producers and trying to narrow down some of those more key areas. I know the livestock water is a big thing, and invasive species with weeds. One big thing that's happening now is there's a soil health specialist out of Fargo that's starting an on-farm soil health network, and he's looking for demonstration farms across Morton County. And so I talked to the Soil Conservation District here in Morton County, and we are looking at letters of support and trying to figure out how can we make this happen here. And that's going to be huge, I think, is just putting that ball in the producer's court to try new things with soil health practices and test the sustainability and the viability of that, and how is it going to work economically to make that move forward. So there's a lot of moving pieces and just trying to narrow it down, but it's fun.
And I'll bet you still haven't forgot about controlled burns.
I haven't. I have one producer that's interested, but we'll see how it works.
Okay.
Not right now though. Now's not a good time for it. But
Yeah. And maybe we can talk Mandan and put in a couple hives down there by that community garden.
we could.
Educational.
That's right.
I don't know if they'll allow it in city limits though. Any other questions for Jaden? Good. Thank you,
Okay.
Jaden.
Thank you.
Carrie, our Morton County Treasurer.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners, Auditor Roan. In your packet tonight, I have provided a listing of auditor's warrants that remain uncashed. Cancellation of any uncashed checks is recommended by the state auditor after a 2-year time frame to be turned over to the North Dakota Unclaimed Property Division. This year, there are 7 auditor's warrants that are on that list, totaling $247.79. And I would like to recommend to the commission to cancel those auditor's warrants so that I can send them into the North Dakota Department of Trust Lands.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to allow the Morton County Treasurer to send $247.79 in cancellation of those checks to the unclaimed property at State Land Trust. Is that what you said,
The North
Carrie?
Dakota Department of Trust Lands.
Okay, North Dakota Department of Trust Lands. Excuse me.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Let me write this down. To allow the Morton County Treasurer to cancel the auditor's warrants listed and remit the unclaimed property to the North Dakota Department of Trust Lands as per North Dakota Century Code 47-30.1. Is that the one you referred to?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I was just reading it, sorry.
Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Yep, it is financial. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Commissioner Buckley,
Yes.
Commissioner Zachmeyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lange,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrell,
Yes.
and myself, Commissioner Bame, yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Next, we have John. Oh, sorry, Don. Don, I went down one, my finger was beside the next one. Don, the floor.
Well, this should be really quick, so. 3 abatements tonight, they're all homestead credits. So the first one up is from the city of Hebron. It is abatement 6649 for 2023.
Motion to approve abatement number 6649 for homestead credit for the city of Hebron.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve abatement 6649 for 2023 City of Hebron homestead abatement. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Next one up is from the city of Flasher. It is abatement 6650. This is also homestead credit for 2023.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve abatement number 6650 for homestead credit for the city of Flasher.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve abatement 6650 for 2023 City of Flasher homestead abatement. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, final one is abatement 6651. This is for Morton County. And again, this is for 2023.
Move to approve abatement number 6651 for homestead tax credit in Morton County.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve abatement 6651 for 2023 Morton County homestead abatement. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Now I can go to John.
Good evening, Commissioners and Auditor Roan. This evening I'm before you with our annual NDDOT maintenance certification. Each year the DOT would like us to certify that we are maintaining any of our structures or roads that have been funded through the Federal Highways Administration, that we are maintaining those to the standards that are required by the FHWA as well as the North Dakota DOT. And in your packet was a copy of the cover letter from Derek Pfeiffer, the local government engineer, and also the template of the agreement, which is executed every time we have a project that is federally funded. And it has to be executed before the contract can be awarded. And that explains what is required, and the way we maintain our roads and our bridges in Morton County is in line with the guidelines of the NDDOT and the federal highways. So I can confidently say that we do maintain all our roads to that level, and we meet all of their requirements. There is no fiscal impact over and above our usual maintenance expenses, labor, equipment, material, that sort of thing. So I would recommend that we execute the annual maintenance certification and return it to the DOT Local Government Division and be ready for the next year. So with that, I'd be open to any questions.
Commissioners have any questions on this certification? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I move to fully execute the annual maintenance certification and return to the North Dakota DOT Local Government Division.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to fully execute the annual maintenance certification and return to the North Dakota DOT Local Government Division. Is there any other discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank
That's
you,
all I
John.
have. Thank you.
All right. Dawn?
All I have is just to announce that early voting does start tomorrow over at the Morton Mandan Library, and it will go up until the day before election. So the weekdays is 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 3, with the exception of the day before the election on Monday the 4th. It does close at 5.
Okay. Sounds good. The only thing, we have other, and we have a flag policy revision. Andy bringing that? Or-
I can.
Okay, because I don't know who's bringing
Mr.
that.
Chairman, was kind of a request from our maintenance man, Mr. Ockenberg. He wanted a good calendar in this policy so that he can properly enter it into his computer system so that he doesn't miss important days for flying flags at the county courthouse. And there for a while was every year we would vote to fly the Morton County 4-H flag. And so this would put not only clean up some of the language that you see above, but the main thing is the addition, Morton County 4-H flag. I called 4-H National Office. And they said if you pick the week of February 22nd, you should be pretty,
That's not National 4-H Week, so I don't think they would want it on that day.
that's what they
Commissioner
told
Zachary?
me. Is that if you try to,
that
you
last
focus in on that
Yeah.
week, you will get it.
In February?
Yeah, that's what they told me.
And
Was it-
FFA Week is not correct either, Commissioner Zachary.
It was last week was 4-H.
If you had,
Yeah.
and then some of this is coming off their website.
Okay.
And then we can check the dates again. Or is it, did she switch it around?
Is Morton County 4-H?
National 4-H Week is always starting the first Sunday in October, the first full
Yep.
week of October.
Because we just, it was all over Facebook last week.
Okay.
So that's why I
Well,
was
the
wondering.
reason it was also brought up was flying it at the same time as the fireman's flag. And that could be a typo, and I
Yeah.
didn't catch it.
Morton, the FFA one, I think, is right.
No, it's not.
It's the middle of
It's right.
March.
No, it's not, it's in February.
It was right over at Egg Day.
No.
So
National FFA Week is, in 2025, is February 15th through the 22nd.
Is that every year?
Annual holiday that occurs for
They
a
said
week in
no.
February, starting from the Saturday before the last Saturday of the month of February.
They moved it.
It's, I know that National FFA Week is in February.
Yeah. It's Egg
So
Day.
then,
It's Egg Week is in March, sorry.
Yes.
That's my mistake. We need to make sure we're right on those dates.
just eliminate them.
Okay.
Because they did say it moved around. And it could be a typing error there, or push it off to the next meeting.
Just
And
take,
we'll double check it again.
authorize Morton County services such as Morton County Future Farmers of America, the FFA, and Morton County for, just take the week of and date out? Is that what you're saying?
It's, I would send it back. One of the things, because we were talking about dates, and they said if you use those dates, you're not gonna be right all the time, but you're gonna be right a vast majority of the time. If you pick the dates, and then maybe the dates got typed in wrong when the, so we can go back and check it again and bring it back next. It's no big deal.
Let's make sure it's right.
That's
I'd rather
fine.
be right than wrong.
That's cool.
And it is just policy, we can change it anytime, but I think we're gonna start it off, let's start it off right. Okay, we'll take a look at those and bring it back to the next meeting.
Okay.
So we can put that one on the agenda for next meeting, Dawn. Okay. Needs corrections, okay. Is there any other business to come before the commission?
Couple reminder dates, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, is November 4 is legislative update meeting at Mandan, the Morton Mandan Public Library at noon. I believe that's District 32, if I remember right.
That's the 4-H legislation.
It's the
Oh, yes, that's
ADSU
the-
extension.
that's what it
I'm
was.
surprised Jaden didn't mention it.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was
Yep.
nervous.
I just added in my calendar for legislative updates, so.
Yes,
That's the extension legislative update.
Yep.
and we are all invited
Yes.
to attend as well.
What's the date on that again?
November
November 4,
at
noon.
Noon to 1. So it depends on when your lunch hour is.
Yeah.
And then also as a follow-up for the presentation we had back in, when was that? May, I believe it was, for the Morton County Memorial to our war dead, is Commissioner Zachmeyer and I are hosting an input meeting here in this room on November 7, 5:30 PM. Invitations have been pushed out through social media and email. Email to the veteran service organizations in the Mandan metro area, Morton County.
What time is that again, Ray?
5:30.
5:30
Thank
PM
you.
in this room. Again, for the listening public that's here, they are welcome to attend as well. Commissioner Zachmeyer and I are still going to work our strategy, but also want to do a quick survey to all those that come through, collect data.
November 7th.
Correct. A Thursday.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else good for the order? Seeing none, we are adjourned.